So can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yep, Travis Robinson. Born and raised Redfern Waterloo. I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters. I'm a twin brother. Half Lebanese, half Aboriginal. Father's Lebanese. I have 8 siblings in Lebanon. What more do you want to know?
Where's your child from?
Bunjalung, my pop's from Blyugal. My nan doesn't really know where she's from because she was a part of the stolen generation, so that's up north somewhere, but she doesn't specify where.
How and why did you start playing rugby league?
I started when I was 3 years old. Rugby league was a big part of my family growing up. My pop played for South in the 60s or 70s. So my mum and all that, everyone in my family got pushed to play. Started when we were 3, so my brothers and my sister. One of my sisters started when she was 4, I think.
Yeah.
And because they loved it.
Can you tell me a little bit about your career and how it went?
It wasn't as long as I'd hoped, but there was one. I was at Cronulla when I was 18. Played a few Premier League games. Got injured for the year. I was close to making my debut the next game, but I dislocated my ankle. Put me out for the year. Come back. I played for a year and then had a missus. Things happened. Moved to Alice Springs. Gave football up for a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
Then someone rang me and says, "Oh, do you want to come back?" Like when I left, I didn't tell anyone that I was leaving. I took off. My family didn't even know. But then the manager got a hold of me and goes, "Oh, do you want to have a trial with Penrith?" And a train and trial. So you just go and train, and if you manage like up until Christmas, they want you to hang around. You don't get paid to do it.
Oh yeah.
And I went, "Oh yeah, sweet." So went there training. Buddy was at the time, so I was going to training with him.
It's 2:00.
So we had train and trial. So I done train and trial, and they go, "Oh, I'll play." And then I was signed with the I was with the Windsor, like the feeder side.
Yeah.
And then what happened during the year? I must have been playing alright. So during the year, there's a couple of injuries, and they go, "Oh, you're a chance of playing." I went, "Oh, sweet." And then the week I was supposed to play was against Canberra.
Yeah.
One of the boys were in doubt. First game's going to be against my brother.
Oh.
So I was like, all right. And then I warmed up and they go, "No, he's going to play this week." So I was like, rightio. And then the next week he was in doubt again.
Yeah.
And he was training. I was doing the session as well, in and out. And the last set of the training sesh, he went up for a ball and he must have done something. They go, "Oh," and he didn't feel that right. And the boys go, "Travis, you're in." I went,
yeah.
So I go, "What?" And the coach goes, "You're in." I went, "Sweet." And we were playing in Melbourne.
Yeah.
My first game was against Melbourne, and so I had to go straight. Had my bag packed already, so I had to go straight to Melbourne, so none of my family could go and watch.
Yeah.
We ended up getting pumped. Like I was like 64-4 or 46-6 or something. We got hammered. We got pumped. But that was my first game. I played a few games after that, and then I ended up signed with Melbourne, and then I was down there for a couple of years. I only played in the nines down there. Didn't play much. Didn't play any grade down there, and then played the World Cup for Lebanon and played the World Cup nines.
Pretty good career. Have you ever experienced any sort of racism on the field?
Yeah, a few times actually, but it's never really been about being Aboriginal.
Yeah.
It's usually Indian or like some other nasho.
Yeah.
But it's happened a lot. Not generally. It's only ever happened once with another player. Generally, it's from the supporters. So
from the crowd, yeah. How did you address or overcome this issue? Or pretty right.
Well, the first time it actually happened to me on the field, I didn't take it too. I ended up getting sin bin because I went and choked the guy and grabbed him and choked him, and we scored a try and ended up getting called back. This was in rugby union actually when this happened, and I got sin bin and then come on, but that's how. And then if it's ever happened on the field, I usually say something back, or I don't really take too kind of it. It's usually the easiest trigger to get me going. I think.
Yeah. Did having like a platform as an NRL player like help or hinder like you when dealing with issues like this?
Most of the racism I caught was probably when I wasn't in NRL, like when I wasn't playing in the top, was like usually like before I played, or like as I said, rugby union, or like it was just crowd people from just playing like local stuff. But with NRL players, you don't see much like not many of them come speak out.
Yeah.
Compared to like Chalk did back in the day. But if you see like NRL players, there's not many people of them that actually come out and think racism, other than like what these days is Latrell's probably the main person and the anthem stuff. And like when people have done that, people have had a problem with it. So it doesn't really help me in a sense, because they don't really have much backing. There are some people backing behind it, but there's people that also aren't educated enough to be on their side, or don't want to be on their side. So it's basically, I reckon it's probably the same as being a normal person.
As you're saying,
if you're a professional, they usually, like look at Adam Goods for instance, they forced him into retirement because he called out a racist. So it's good in that, like it can be helpful in a way, and it could be bad in a way. So.
So on to the next question, like have you ever like used your platform to address like things like this, or do you feel like you like ever would have back then? Like do you reckon it would have been easier to address racism with the platform like of NRL player?
When it has happened to me, I've made I've made complaints to particular like clubs and stuff like that, and if they didn't do anything about it, I wouldn't play for the club again. But I forgot the question.
Like has having a platform helped you like address issues through racism?
No, not really, because there's always going to be ignorance out there. There's going to be people that need educated that don't want to get educated. So I think seeing that now, more people have watched the Adam Good story, and more people have come out. More Indigenous people are getting on their side, and are looking to get more people educated in those particular platforms in their sports. So if they can do it in the sports, I'm sure they can do it. They should be able to do it in schools, and maybe it will create something, but
maybe it won't. Talk in the schools. Has anyone ever like questioned you while playing in the Lebanon side, or?
Of course, me and my brother are two black people playing for Lebanon. But someone when we first ever played for Lebanon, we played in Lebanon. And we were doing like a lap after the game, and this guy was like, are you even Lebanese or something like that? But it was lucky enough because my father lives over there. He was in the crowd sitting right next to me. Yeah, of course they are. They're my fucking sons. So, but people always question how we're Lebanese, because obviously we take our mother's last name, so they don't know how Lebanese blokes got Robinson as their last name, because as you know, in Lebanon and like that side of things, the men usually run stuff. So so people do question us, but as soon as we say our father's Lebanese or full Lebanese, they understand.
LeBron James was like once told to shut up and dribble when he tried to like address social issues. Do you think this attitude is shown in Australia, like when Indigenous athletes like try to talk up about an issue, but they're like shut down by the media just to like shut up, play your sport sort of thing? Like it's not really like your time to talk about issues like this.
Well, media always put a spin on shit. So every time someone does come out, people do say stuff in a negative light, but they're always just saying, like, people say it because they're either not educated or they're looking to create more things towards the story because that's what they've got to do. But
Yeah.
a lot of them are ignorant as well to the matters of what people are trying to bring to the thing because they just think, oh, they must play football. They've got no education. Whereas if you look at LeBron James, they all have to go to college and
Exactly.
shit like that, and have to they're all pretty educated on how they talk on that. So yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on like the media always scrutinising Latrell Mitchell and other Indigenous players?
Well, he's been copping it a bit lately, as you can see. But that's a lot of it's probably uncalled for. Like,
Yeah.
if it was if the shoe was on the other foot, it wouldn't be as much. But because he's a young bloke and he can talk, he does what he wants and he can talk himself up how he wants, and people just don't accept it because.
Yeah.
And he is a good player. Like, people expect him because he's such a good player. Like, he has to stick to a certain standard. But if you want to call people out, and he's looking, if at the end of the day he's looking out for himself. Like, he doesn't have to look out for the NRL because at the end of the day, NRL doesn't really, like clubs and stuff like that, don't look after their players as much as people. It's like a so-so thing. It's a company.
Yeah.
So, but he has copped a lot of unfair flack and all that stuff because. He was looking out for himself, and he has got a family. So, and people don't realise, like, a lot of shit happens.
Yeah.
A lot of shit happens in the Indigenous community because, for starters, like, the death rate's lots earlier than things. So there's always a lot of death in communities and all that stuff. And compared to white people, black people's families are a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Because anyone could be their family. Like. Could be mates that they're actually called family now, so there are always a lot of loss. But as people don't know, like, a lot of that stuff happens and people keep quiet.
Yeah.
So in a way, he has had a lot of stuff going through because he'd bring some of it out, but he has copped a lot of shit, which is pretty uncalled for. But even if it was another person of another race, they probably
it would be
it would be a different story.
Yeah. What changes can be made to improve athletes' opportunities to speak out and to be listened to?
I think have the back of the sport of they're playing. So the NRL educate all players, they go into schools and educate. So maybe educate schools, maybe educate the media.
Yeah.
Just if players know that they have the back of their organisation, they say what they want. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Like South hasn't come out and said anything about like Latrell Mitchell, or Roosters didn't say nothing about it. It's just more the media and NRL. Like, even when they brought out that thing, the advertisement, like, they didn't really have his back. They just stood him there,
left him there on his own feet.
And when everyone was copping the flack, like, NRL didn't say nothing about it or didn't give a reasoning behind it, but. Just a lot of education through organisations and knowing that organisations like have your back. There's players associations, there's things and that. If they all have a agreeing saying, well, if one player, it doesn't matter what nationality it is.
Yeah.
If someone's thing, we've got his back and something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Do you have anything else you'd like to share or say?
I think I've said enough.
Yeah. Thanks, Travis.